Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, bringing this segment to you back at the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. High atop Rick House number 1. Speaking of Rick House, Rick Bozich from WDRB.com joins us. Rick, how are you doing, man? How has your week been?
It's been good. Enjoying the World Series, enjoying the college football season, enjoying the overlap with college basketball heating up. So, yeah, it's prime time of the year. Didn't enjoy that Bears loss, but that's okay.
The World Series looked to be over, and Freddie Freeman, first of all, how in the world do you get upstaged after hitting your fourth consecutive or fourth home run in 4 games? Actually, he did like 5. It's got 5, doesn't he, from a previous World Series or something?
6, I think it is altogether, back to the Braves.
How's that freaking possible? And then why in the hell are you pitching to this guy? But because he just seems to be, he's just on this magical heater. But then it turned into a home run derby and the Yankees got into the party. But how about that dude that ripped the ball out of the was it Mookie Betts? I don't remember, but this guy had no quit in him. He was not going to give up. I'm like, you're an idiot, first of all, because there has to be 14 cameras just staring at you, and you're gone. I don't know if he got arrested. I did see that he left in handcuffs.
I don't know if he got arrested. He got ejected from the park, and I'm sure he's not going to be allowed back in Yankee Stadium ever again.
His kids won't be allowed back in Yankee Stadium.
I don't know about his entourage that was there with him, what happened, but yeah, I've never seen him like that where I want the Yankees to win, so I'm going to not only take the ball, I'm going to take your glove, and I'm going to rip off 2 of your fingers too.
That was one of the craziest things I have ever seen. But the Yankees, man, they blow that game open, and so they're hanging on. There's no if you look at history, they have no chance because they're still down 3-1 with a trip eventually coming back to Los Angeles. But it was fun, I'm telling you. And at first when Freddie Freeman hit that shot last night, I sent out a tweet and I'm like, I said, you have to be historic to upstage Shohei Ohtani in a World Series. And Freddie Freeman is historic. But then, boom, the Yankees came alive and changed all that. So that was definitely fun to see. College basketball is here. The regular season is not started, but I don't think that matters to many people as long as you have games that are being played. I don't think it matters what title you want to attach to them. Charity game, exhibition game, scrimmage, no one cares as long as they're being played. Indiana goes down to Knoxville and takes on 12th ranked Tennessee, gets a win on the road. First of all, Rick, that is something we did not see out of Indiana all of last year. They as a matter of fact, for a couple seasons, they've been to Las Vegas to play Arizona. They've been to Kansas to play Kansas. They were at New York to play UConn and Atlanta to play Auburn. And they were not able to handle any of these, but they go down and on campus site, take on a Tennessee team and get a win. And that has to be a good sign for Hoosier fans and for Mike Woodson.
Yeah, I mean, and what was really a good sign is it looked like they're going to have their best point guard play since Yogi Ferrell was here. Miles Rice looks as good as advertised. He was terrific last year when he was at Washington State. People talk about how he was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, which he was, but more importantly, he got Washington State in the NCAA tournament, which doesn't happen all the time, and he helped their coach get a new job. So I think he's the real deal, and I think the most important stat from his line in that game was he had 0 turnovers. So that's quite an achievement for Miles Rice. And he was going against Zakai Ziegler, I'm sorry, who's one of the best defensive players in the SEC. And Indiana won that game without Galloway and without Tucker and without Newton. So they played kind of shorthanded on the bench. Renew had a good game, hit a big 3 that Mike Woodson credited with, turning the game around. Ballo had a solid game. I guess Mbako was kind of slow in the first half, but turned it on in the second half. and Carlisle's the only one who didn't really play great. But I'm glad they played that game. It's good. You get the road trip experience out of the way. The new guys on the team learn how the coaching staff wants to handle road games. You learn how to bond together away from Assembly Hall, because now they don't play another road game now until the Big Ten, right? Because they're going to play. Other than the Bahamas, I don't think they have a road game, do they?
I don't think they play another road game until
Right.
2040, I think, sometime in the year 2040. No, every year you're gonna, and they're not alone in doing this, but this is when you pad that schedule, man. Every year Indiana used to be 12-2 before the damn the Big Ten season got started. You can pile up those home wins against a lot of teams. South Carolina is the only I would guess about a P4 team that's coming in, but that battle for Atlantis, that's no joke. First of all, you start off playing Louisville, who is a completely different team. Not only a different team, they look to be good. They did score a ton of points in their first game out. And for a completely new team to play that well together that quickly, that's a little scary.
Yeah, I've been to both exhibition games here downtown the last 2 Mondays. They scored over 100 the first game. They scored 99 on this Monday night. The first game they shot 56 threes, I think it was. The second one, they didn't shoot nearly as many. I think they only shot 21. They went inside more. What I really like about Louisville's team is they're very deep. He can go 9 or 10 deep. So you get a lot of different guys. You get fresh guys all the time. And B, they are going to push the pace. They want to go up and down, and they don't over dribble. They pass the ball. They move the ball really well. They're a lot different than the Louisville the last couple of years. I think Indiana's advantage in that game will be that Louisville doesn't really have anybody with the bulk. I mean, Louisville didn't have anybody with the bulk to match up with Ballo or even Malik Monroe. Their big guys are all very skinny, and so I think the Indiana should have an ability to get to the rim. And Baco's strong too, so those three guys should all be able to get to the rim.
Yeah, the surprise, I've said this a couple times, but Umar Ballo played over 30 minutes in this game, which that was a surprise. I only expected to see him playing, roughly 23 minutes or so, but he was in there. But if they're going to play, and that also included Malik Renew being in there, if they're going to play that style, how is it going to be difficult for them to play in more up-tempo style? But with Miles Rice, he seems to be guiding that.
Yeah. And, Galloway will take some of those minutes, so you can chuck a few more minutes off different guys. I mean, I think it sounds like Woodson is open to the idea of having stretches of the game where either Renew or Ballo is on the bench, and you go with one big and four guys who are more perimeter or more comfortable on the perimeter. And if that's the case, those guys won't have to play 30-plus minutes. And if you're going to actually follow through on what you said of being a team that's more amenable to shooting three-point shots, that's one thing you're going to have to do.
Yeah, not a good game by either team shooting the ball. Tennessee was absolutely horrific at 31%. Right. Indiana, 42%. That's not going to win a lot of games. But if you have good defense and you're holding the other team down, yeah, maybe so. The three-point shooting was awful as well by Indiana, atrocious, 4 of 19 for 21%. Tennessee chucked it up 35 times, hitting it on 8 of those for 23%. Free throws, as far as percentages, pretty close. Turnovers not bad for an opening game, 13 and 15. So
I think they had 9 in the first half. They cut it way down in the second half.
Big difference there. And what did you see from this Indiana team? First of all, getting that win, that's big. Again, just showing from a confidence boosting standpoint. But what did you see from that team?
Well, this is Mike Woodson's 4th year. It's probably the most talent he's had on the roster since he's been there. It's definitely the best backcourt he's had since he's been there. And I know they had a good one when they had Hood Schifino, but that was the year Xavier Johnson got hurt. So they they went with Hood Schifino and Galloway. They've got Galloway now, who's probably going to be pushed to a reserve role and play with Carlisle, and Rice and Cups, who played last year and got a lot of experience, will be the fourth or fifth guard. So you got depth and you've got talent at guard. I mean, Rice is just a game changer. If you look at him, he made those big plays down the stretch. He hit that big shot. He made some free throws, and he does a good job of what you want a point guard to do. And what Indiana hasn't had somebody who could really do it is he can beat his man off the dribble, force somebody to rotate on him, and find the open man. I mean, if they can find guys who can make 3-point shots, and I know that we haven't mentioned Luke Goody. He had an uncharacteristically bad day. I think he was 0 for 5 and 0 for 3 from 3. But Rice will find him open for shots. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, Miles Rice to me is a game changer for Indiana.
Yeah, and I think Goody is going to. I think he's going to be a much more important piece than people think once if he gets going, because this guy he can shoot. He's got a winning DNA, and he might talk that in the last segment. He's relative of Trent Green. He's an athlete. He played on Big Ten championship teams at Illinois, and he's confident. He's kind of a leader, and I think it is just going to take him a minute to step into that role.
And he wants to be there, and he knows what Indiana basketball is all about. I mean, let's remember he was at Illinois, for 3 years or 4? I don't even know how many it was, at least 3. And he decided he wanted to finish his career at Indiana. And he knows, growing up in the state, I think his dad played football at IU too, in addition to, his uncle. And he knows what it means to be an Indiana basketball player, and he wanted to be part of that. So I think he'll help instill that culture in the rest of the players.
Yeah, Justin says that Ziegler's projected to be one of the best point guards in the SEC. So
yes, he is. He's really good. He's probably first team All SEC. And Rice outplayed.
Great job. Yep, and he held him to 2 of 10 shooting as well. So a good job there. Purdue loses their exhibition against Creighton, a good Creighton program. So that's not exactly a.
It was on the road too, right?
Yeah, so it's not like that's not this big deal. But I am not convinced that Purdue is what everybody else thinks. And it's nothing to do with any kind of bias. I just don't I don't think that they have Billy Bean there to fill Zach Edey's spot. And maybe they can fill it that way, but it's not just the numbers they have to fill. It's all the other things that Zach Edey brought. He was just in the damn way all the time. And so that in and of itself is problematic. So now they're going to have to try to out athlete people, which I don't know that they have the athletes to out athlete everybody.
Yeah. I mean, Edey was a back-to-back National Player of the Year. I mean, so last year he was even better than he was the year before, and he has that wealth of experience, and he got calls, and he's a tremendous security blanket. If you really got to get a basket, you've got one of the best guys in the country to get that basket for you. And if he doesn't get the basket, he's going to go to the line. And he came through for him over and over again. And that's a big hole. So but Matt Painter is a good coach, and he knows they don't have Edey, and he knows they're going to have to find to do it a different way. And didn't Kaufman Wren have like over 20 in the exhibition game, which I don't remember him ever having over 20 last year.
I don't remember. I know that Braden Smith went off.
Braden Smith had 31, and I think Kaufman Wren had 22. And Painter, my respect for Purdue is respect for Painter. He's done it all different kinds of ways since he's been there. He'll find a way for them to be successful. He's still got depth, and he's got a lot of freshmen. And who were the 2 young guys they had last year that played quite a bit at the end of the year?
Cam Heide.
Yeah, and there was one other.
Yeah, daggone it. Gee whiz, I know who you're talking about. They've got good players on the team, and they've got experience.
Lawyer and Braden Smith they've started now this will be their 3rd year. I mean,
and
they're not going to be as good as they were, but they're still good. I voted them, I think, 14th or 15th in the AP poll, and I think they'll be that good.
We'll certainly find out. Basketball season still a little bit down the road. Indiana takes on Pat Knights, Marion Knights on Friday. Pat will be with us tomorrow. For those of you, if I haven't reminded you yet, yeah, Pat on the schedule to join us here tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for that. But kind of a unique, very unique situation that is going to be as Pat Knight comes back to Assembly Hall as a coach.
I think it's a great thing because Pat Knight is the closest family member to Bob Knight. And Pat Knight was very instrumental in ensuring that his father came back to Assembly Hall when most people thought it was never going to happen. And it shows that, there is a relationship between the Knights and IU, and there should be. And for him to bring his team in there, he'll get a tremendous, tremendous ovation. I'm sure they'll have a video montage of a lot of Bob Knight's greatest moments, and some respect will be paid to him. It's only the 1 year anniversary of his death has been recently, right? And so,
well, it comes up. I think it's in November, right?
Okay, but I don't remember. It's right around this time of year, but it's who they should be playing. If you're going to play an exhibition game and Pat Knight's taking over at Marion, Steve Downing's the athletic director, you should play a team. You should play those guys and let them come to Assembly Hall. And for the kids on that team, who I imagine are a lot of Indiana kids, that'll be something they'll remember the rest of their life, just like Monday night Louisville played Spalding University, and most of the kids on that team are former Louisville high school players, and that's a memory they'll have the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. And not only that, it is just going to be it's a good moment for the Indiana basketball family because they're still bringing all that back together. It was fractured beyond repair for so long. And when you have programs, a blue blood program like that, you cannot have the head of the snake cut off. It has to be a part of the body. And I think that has been reattached, and that is great to see. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to having Pat on tomorrow. We've got to take a break. The great Rick Bozich from WDRB.com with us. We got more to talk about. Football, college football is on the docket again this Saturday. Lots of big games. Ohio State taking on Penn State, a big-time game in not only the Big Ten, but in the talks for the college football playoffs. When we come back, brought to you by our good friends from Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.